Hello everybody, Jenny here with Dental Ops Pro, and for today's video what I'm going to do is redo my recare video. So even though I like the way it turned out, I know I had a lot of complaints in regards to the video quality. I believe that I have corrected that, and I'm willing to go ahead, delete that video even though it hurts my heart, and replace it with this video. So I hope you guys didn't mind how long this took me, but don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I'm in the office overview page. From here, we're going to go right next to settings, the down arrow. And under patient care, we're going to click on recare. Now, once your office starts using Ascend, we do recommend that you go to the recare setup to quickly have your intervals at your office's preferences set up correctly. So when you take bite wings, your office usually takes PAs, as this office does. You would want to add that in there. Now, you're going to notice that some of these recares are in bold while others are not. The recares that are in bold are called our primary recares, and the ones that are not bold are our secondary recares. The difference being that the primary recares are the ones that the patient receives notifications for once they are due. They do not receive that notification with the secondary recares unless otherwise specified by your office. So once again, for the primary recares, those are the ones that the patients do receive a notification once they are due. So if you are going to create your own recare, you would go to create new. By type, you can just name it as you wish. So we would name this one Recare Appointment. Recare. Description, so something that would be easy for my office to recognize. So we can do full recare appointment. The intervals, so to do the full bite wings, x-rays, and exam, that's usually once a year. So you can enter the interval number here. So for me, it'll be 1. On the next box, I'll click the down arrow. And then for my time increment, I'll pick year, but you also have the option of weeks or months. And now I'll enter the procedure types. So as I explained, this is going to be for a full exam. Now, I'm scared to change anything in my office because I cannot add the procedure if it's already in another recare. So I'm not going to create this. But at least now I've had you step through. Once you do set up your recare and the increments at your office's preference, you would go back to the down arrow, and under patient care, we'll go under patient communications. I would review the ones that are, we're going to click under recare. And as you can see, Ascend already has a few set up for us. So I will review these and make any adjustments as I see fit. In regards to the increments or the message itself, what you can do is you can click edit, and you will go through each one. So it'll take you through each step. It's pretty self-explanatory. So notification schedule, so how often they get the notification, preferred sending method, email message, exactly, text message, yes, they can say different things, and your practice information. Once complete, you can click save. And all of this is very important because let's go under patient and under general overview. and we're going to be in the patient overview page. Now, a quick tour of this in case you're not familiar. On the top left, we're going to see appointments, so you can see the patient's appointments that they have scheduled. What I love is on the bottom here, you can see their missed appointments, so you can see broken appointments, no-show appointments, and canceled by office, so you can see the patient's history right here. And I appreciate this during recare because if a patient has too many broken or no-show appointments, I might not want to call them in my recare. In the middle top here, you're going to see their insurances, so I can see if maybe it's one that we no longer accept or if they even have active insurance. On the next, we're going to see their medical alerts or medications. So I can see if they're a patient that can quickly come in or if they need notification if they do pre-medicate. Okay, on the middle left, you're going to see their recare box. So here is where we're going to see their recare that's due, appointment if it's scheduled, and any notes in regards. So if we hover over the note, you're going to see anything that was added, whether that's a insurance note or a patient's preference. I always recommend that you enter it here. I do also recommend that you insert a date, so that way the next staff member does not question how old that note is. It's always a good way to track how old a note is by just quickly inserting the date. Here you're going to have a quick glance at the ledger, whether or not they have a balance. If the patient has a huge balance, maybe I wouldn't want to call them for recare quite just yet until we figure that out. And I also like to see if patient's treatment plan, if they have anything pending. So if they have a lot pending, then I can have that added or notated on their recare appointment. Or if they have a lot rejected, I know maybe they're not a compliant patient. This is all something to bear in mind. Even before your staff member calls the patient, they can have an idea of what they can expect on the other side of the phone. It makes you feel more comfortable before calling. So I do appreciate all of this. And I do ask my staff members to look at all this before picking up the phone, versus just jumping in, getting over the phone call, and not having any idea. So if they do ask, a pre-authorization has been approved, you know, they have an idea already of what it is that the patient's talking about. So if we are to go under the patient's recare, from here we can change the intervals specifically for this patient. So any changes made here will be specific to this patient. So this note, the interval, then anything else, due date would be specific for this patient. Versus under the recare setup, it will be changed for the entire office. And keeping updated with the recare is very important because once you go into the office overview, it will accurately track your unscheduled recare, as you can see here in the office overview page. So once we select the kind of recare, so I picked Profi and click on the bar, I can see all of my November Profi unscheduled appointments. So these are all patients that are due in the month of November for their Profi appointments. In this listing, you can see their recare type, due date, appointment if it's scheduled, patient's name, contact name and number, patient's last visit, the last time the system contacted them, which I appreciate, and any notes in regards to the contact that any staff member may have made. If you want to filter out, as you can see on the left side, you're going to see filters. So you can filter it either by location, if they even have recare on their appointment, appointment scheduled or not scheduled, due date range, and the type of recare. If any of this has been changed, so I'll pick child Recare only. You'll click search on the bottom and your listing will be updated. From here, you have the option to print your report and have that used for any report that you may need. So another important note that I'd like to make is when your front desk or dental assistant is going through these recare patients and they're told that the patient is not returning either for a specific reason, or they moved, or they just found another dentist that's in network with their insurance, I want them to be sure that they do remove them from this listing, so that way my list is concise and correct. And then also, if it's a reason via the office, so whether they had a bad experience or bill showed up when they weren't expecting and it's something that we could have avoided, I always like to be sure that there's open communication between myself and my staff member so that we can review it, so I could notate it, so that I can improve on that. Because what happened once can happen again, and I just want to be sure that we don't lose any more patients that we could have avoided. Also, by them removing the patient away from this listing, we're not annoying the patient. A staff member is not feeling frustrated by constantly calling patients that have already told us that they don't want to come back. So it keeps the experience of doing recare a little more optimistic, which is important if you're trying to get your staff members to actually do the recare listing. Perfect. And that concludes my video. So if you guys have any other recommendations of what you would like to see, please don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'm always looking for suggestions in regards to what to talk about next, especially when it comes to Dentrix Ascend. I think what I'm going to do next is do an overview of Ascend versus the original Dentrix. So if you'd like to see that, please let me know, because that's going to be a difficult one for me to video, and I'm not quite sure if it'll be one that's worth it. So any other recommendations is greatly appreciated. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time of watching my video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and until I see you next time, just keep smiling. See you then. Bye.